Okay, so this is your equipment that you're going to need. First of all, we're going to do the rubbing in method. So that involves getting your 2 cups of self-raising flour, making sure that each cup is level. Make sure that we fill out the cups and that they're level, okay? Into the sieve and just knock it in there. This will put air into the flour a little bit, and it will also take out any foreign bodies that we got in there. So foreign bodies are things that we don't want in there. There could be anything. Anything physical, dirt, anything that's got into the flour through the processing. Okay, then we get the butter and we rub it in. Okay. The purpose of the rubbing in method is to coat the flour in the fat, which helps to shorten the gluten, making the scone very crumbly. Okay, so this method is used by just rubbing your thumbs into your fingertips and picking up the butter, picking up the flour, spending at least 5 minutes doing it until it becomes yellowy and looks like breadcrumbs. Okay, hence the reason a crumb. Yes, Siobhan.
Last time I made my scones, they got really hard. I don't know what I did wrong.
Alright, so you're saying they were dry?
Yes. Yeah.
Alright.
And hard.
So, dry and hard. Dry after cooking. Sorry, hard after cooking. Alright, so if the scone mixture is dry to begin with, and then you put it in the oven, it's going to become even drier, isn't it? Hence the reason it became hard. So your mixture has to start reasonably moist, not wet. Okay, we don't want it wet and soggy so we can't handle the mixture or the dough, but it needs to be moist, which I'll show you. Mine should be, and it also depends how much milk you put in. You can put too much in, but you can also put not enough in. All right? So I'm still rubbing this in. If I see any big lumps, I'll pick them up, rub them, and if butter appears, then rub it in. If it doesn't, then it's fine. We need to get rid of all that butter. Okay? The better the crumb, the more crumblier the scone. And it will have air in between the crumbs, making it beautiful. Okay? So it looks to me like all that butter has been rubbed in. Thumbs into the fingertips. Be patient. Make sure it's done. Okay, so the time may vary, but all you're looking for is the breadcrumb nature with the flour and the butter. Alright, so we're going to split this dough into 2 in a minute, but we'll make the base. So we need to put 1/3 of a cup inside there. Sorry, 3/4 of a cup. So if you grab a half, or even easier, grab a 1/4 and put 3 times that into here. Your recipes do say between 3/4 and a cup, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Have a look and change it to 3/4. You will not need a cup. So as long as you've made that note on your recipe, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. Finished. You can use that milk for a glaze before they go in the oven. Now at this point, just use your hands. Okay? Push the flour on top of the milk. I'm just bringing it all together with my fingertips. The reason I'm using fingertips is so that the whole of my hand doesn't get wet. Okay? Just use your fingertips. All you have to do here, the purpose of this method now, is just to bring the crumb together with the milk. Okay, you can do that with your hand. We're just capturing all that flour, bringing it together, and once you have a mass, just grab it, squeeze it, and gather up all the flour. Okay, and at this point, if you do it this way, then the flour will absorb the moisture. Okay, and once it stops picking up flour, it's absorbed enough moisture, which means it won't get any drier. Okay, if it doesn't want to pick it up, that's fine. Just press it in and bring it together like that. Okay, now I'll pass this round in a second just so you can feel the texture, and you can probably see that it's quite moist anyway. Alright?
We haven't washed our hands.
That's fine. For today, the purpose of today, if we just look inside here, you can see how short the mixture is. Do you know what I mean by short? Your fat that you've rubbed into the flour has shortened the gluten, meaning it's in a crumb. Okay, so when that bakes, it will be crumbly. I know I keep saying it, but that's why. If I was to knead this now like a bread or a pasta, that gluten would stretch, break, come back together, stretch, break, come back together, and eventually they would form a strong gluten strand. That's when you strengthen the gluten. That's not what we've done here. We've put some fat in between those gluten strands, and they're now short and separated, and that will be crumbly. Okay? If we strengthen them, it's bread, and it needs to be firm, with two different textures. And that's where we put the work in. If we wanted it firm texture, we'd work the gluten. Because we don't want a firm texture, we want a crumbly, soft texture, we don't work the gluten. Beautiful. See? Excellent. So we split that into two. And you know what gluten is in the flour, don't you? We've talked about that. What is it? Protein, isn't it? It's a protein in the wheat flour. Okay, good. Two separate doughs. So what I need to do with those two separate doughs is create a savoury one and a sweet one. We haven't put any sugar into the dough, so the only sweetness that's going to be in there will be from the apple. So let's get some